Hello, everybody. This is a voiceover recording of a Salado Fargo reported match between myself, Sean Lewis, 667 Fargo at this time, and Marcello Girardi, 592 Fargo. We're playing a race to 9 ball, 9 on the spot, alternate break, and we are playing like with a loose shot clock. Marcello is preparing for a tournament with a 45-second shot clock, so we're kind of like trying to hurry it along as much as we can while we play. So we're not going to take a lot of time thinking, which is going to change the dynamic, but I'm excited to try it because I've never played with a shot clock. All right, so Marcello broke dry. I played safe, tried to play behind the 7. Use the 6 or the 7 as blockers, but I left him a hit on the 1. He's pretty limited with what he can do here. I think what Marcello just did was a good shot. I think he just needed to hit it a little bit fuller and bank it more towards the middle of the table, and then the cue ball would have stayed kind of over by the 6 a little bit more. Or he would have had, if he hit it harder, also the 1 would have went down below the 9, and that would have been a good shot. So either way, so he's left me a good opportunity. I just got to stay in line. I think really the trick here is to try to get nice on the 4, going to the 5. The 5 is in a little bit of a tough spot, being on the end of the rail, or the middle of the end rail. Is sort of a tricky position to play for because you can't really use the middle of the table as easily. So I was thinking that I'll just draw this back and just give a little bit of distance, and then if I like the angle to cut it in the corner with like a punch, I was going to shoot that, or if I got a little bit straighter, I might try to draw it. And then if I get a little bit higher up, which is where I'm at now, I'm going to just play the 4 on the side. Maybe with a touch of left. I think I'm playing with a little bit of left and low. Not a lot low, because I'm just going to let it float. Yeah, because I just wanted it to twist. And if you put too much spin on it, then it makes the shot a little bit tougher, and it doesn't really help. It's just kind of like a touch. You got to know how much to use. Not enough, and you're not getting it to grab, and then a little bit too much, and it doesn't grab enough because it's sliding. So here I'm just going to punch with just a, center ball punch out. Now, if I had gotten more angle here, I might have tried to play or closer to the 6 as well. Play the 7 in the side, but because I'm here, I'm just going to play 1 rail for the 7 all the way down. As long as you get a good angle, it's all good. So here I have 2 options. I can go forward and play for the 8 in the corner, or even really further and go into the side, or I can try to punch it out, which is a little bit straight. This is my table. I've been practicing a lot on this. This kind of shot's a pretty good shot for me. So I'm able to just punch it out a little bit more than you might be comfortable with, but is what it is. And I'm just going to, I think, nip draw here and just try to hold it. You could easily go to the rail and back out. That's just a little different stroke. I was just a little bit stretched out, so I didn't want to hit a power shot. All right, it's 1-0. One other caveat that I should mention about the break is that we're playing with no break box. So he's breaking from a little bit further outside of where the breaks box would be, but I'm using the break box kind of generally. But I think later I do deviate from that because Marcello was breaking well, and I recognize that, so I just kind of tried to figure out what he was doing. All right, so I'm going to roll out here. Because the 2 is difficult to make, kind of what I'm doing here. My philosophy for this rollout is that I'm just increasing the difficulty of the run out and leaving him a difficult shot. So it's definitely possible for him to cut the 2 in the corner and get shape for the 3 and then run out by using a nice stroke on the 3. But where the 4 was before was much easier if he was to randomly be able to make, if he was not randomly, but if he was able to make the 2 and then end up with the shot on the 3. Where the 3 is, you kind of need to get position to get to the 4 next. But where the 4 was before, just by making the 3 from wherever you were, you could almost end up with some sort of a shot because the 4 and the 5 are connected. So I was eliminating that by moving them, the 4 and the 5 together. Now they're like married. So you have to get to both of them. So that 2, I was just slow rolling it and taking my licks. I wasn't necessarily expecting a shot, a really good shot on the 3, but this is pretty good. Just hit a little bit too hard. Hooked myself. I remember this shot. This is a little bit brutal. I needed to hit, I remember missing this kick shot. I have to shorten it up, but I didn't use enough low. And I couldn't play 2 rails. So this was kind of like I thought the best shot. And this wasn't too difficult. I needed to commit more, and I think because we're trying to play fast, I didn't put enough draw on that shot because I didn't really think it through as much as I wanted to. So Marcello's got a good chance here. Probably I'd play like a stop shot on the 4 in the corner pocket where he's standing, so that it leaves a natural angle to just punch the 5 in the side and then go sideways for the 7. By moving the cue ball, not that this is particularly difficult, you got really nice on it by playing it there. That was a good pattern as well because you are going into the line of the shot. But I think for me then I was just basically giving myself 2 ball in hands in a row by just being like, you know what, this would be pretty easy to do. Plus the other shot was, the thing was that where he ended up is your cue ball is going to go across the shot line for the 7. And the shot that I was selecting, if you get too weird on it, you can go to the end rail and back down. It gives you more like opportunity to adjust the angle. And then the actual shot itself was just like a punch. And I wanted to leave more angle than he left himself for the 7, and that's why I would have shot this shot in the 4 and then the 5 on the side, I think, for me personally. And that's just from the view that I'm seeing here. It could have been that if the 5 was closer to the side pocket and a little bit trickier to make, then I might not have done that. And then shooting the shot, the Marcello shot, was perfectly fine. So I think Marcello's going to make this one, I think. Rattled it in. Rattled the 8, rattled the 9, 1-1. All right, scores 1-1. Marcello's break. Seemed like he got a little bit nervous there on the 8 and the 9, but made it happen. We'll see how his emotions are running this game. Two balls on the break. Doesn't look like he has a shot. So he's not going to roll out, I guess, it looks like. I think he just kicks at it, which is interesting. I'm not saying that's the wrong thing to do, because that is kind of an easy ball. Like, if you leave me, there's a lot of different things I can do there. So if you feel really good about um, if you feel really good about your kick shot, like you can kick safe, then that's reasonable to do that. I think if it's me, I generally would roll out there, and if I wanted to, I might try to move to a slightly easier situation, like easier kick shot. If I for sure knew that I could do good on a kick shot, I might roll to that spot and then hope that he gave it back to me, or that if he wants to shoot it, then that's fine. Um, I'm not trying to leave like easy situations. So I was hoping to bump that 9 a little bit fuller. Ended up not really working out, so now I have to kick at this ball. So I'm going to try to kick it in. Almost. I would end up with the shot, which would have been cool. Alright. So, yeah, I mean, you can play this off the 9. I think it's on the point. I don't know if Marcello really looked at it or not. So it does go, but I think you can just play off the side of it, no problem here. It's pretty easy. Other than that, I kind of like not hitting it that hard. If you can get it to come out to where it's like easy into the side. But seemed like the way that was, it was unnecessary to hit that ball that hard. Unless he was trying to make it in the corner, try to get lucky. Now I just probably use high left here and play for the 7 in the side. That's good too. Just overrolled it. But now, yeah, you can play this just withdraw, and then you play just the shot on the 8 that you get by like stopping it there. That's a good shot. And if you can play to control the 9 a little bit by punching it up and down to an easier spot, that's also a good idea. That's extra. Yeah, pretty straight here. I think just draw back if you can't go forward. I don't know if you want to draw over to the other side or stay on this side and just take the shot that you got. That's pretty good. Kind of an interesting stroke there. Looks like he hit a little bit lower something than he wanted to, and just kind of thudded the cue ball into the 9. So I just got a thin cut down the rail. I don't know if it's frozen, but just hit both, nice and smooth. Alright, got away with it. 2-1. Alright, my break. So I'm just trying to use draw, the cut break, a la the pros, but I put a little bit of right English on that. Probably would have scratched had it not hit the 1 or that other ball. That was pretty sloppy, my bad. I guess you can try to make this carom. If you want to. I think if you were to yeah, it just didn't seem like you could end up with the shot if you made it, but still makes it worth going for it. You know, could have wired up the 9 somehow. And there wasn't really that much else. I was trying to debate on what would be a good safe, and I guess the best shot I'd say is if you trying to like play to miss the combo and try to use that to trap the 1 and then go up table back behind the balls. Alright, so he tried to play the 1 behind those balls and just overfloated the cue ball. So he's left me a combination. But it's kind of an interesting situation where it's hard to get shape. 7 is there, so I couldn't draw the ball. It would have so I was hoping to just come straight back out above it, but bumped it, so now I have to play safe. I'm trying to play the 1 basically full into the 2 and then the cue ball up behind the 4 and the 9. But I hit it too thin, so it came out. I might just make the 1 and play the 2 in the corner past the 3, and just make sure that if you don't like the shot, you just play safe and use the 9 or 4 as your protection, and then shoot the 2 up table, and just shoot the 1 with natural roll. Play the cue ball down to the end rail, sort of. Ideally in a good position to shoot at the 2, but if not. It's a pretty good shot. That's also a good shot. Just if you don't bump the 9 there, or if you bump the 2, then you might be in a really bad spot. So there was a little bit of danger there. I think he was trying to play just a touch higher, play back to the spot, which would have been nice. It seemed like with the angle that he had, you could have also went forward with inside spin. I might consider jumping that ball. I mean, kicking it, it's fine. You might make the 9, then might make the 3 off the 5. So here I think I get a little bit too tricky. I shoot the 3 into the 5, and then I follow with the cue ball, and I'm trying to make the 9 with the 5. I know the 3's going to go in, so it's not like it's risky. But I ended up overcooking the follow on this, and I hooked myself kind of behind the 7. So I have to jump it, and just didn't need to happen. I just needed to use just a touch of follow, and I just went like an extra 2 feet beyond. So that was a mistake. So I'm just going to try to jump and make it, and then play the 5-9. Just miscued. Yeah, 4 on the side or the corner. 5-9. There you go. All right, scores 2-2. Significant left English there. Made 3 balls. No shape on the one. Can't really see that much here, so. Okay. Yeah, it's too head on to play the cue ball behind the 4, I think, unless you hit it absolutely perfect. You could sell out a shot on the side most of the time if I could see if hit it so soft. Pretty good. So I'm playing the 1 into the 8 and then use the 3 ball as the blocker, but I went into the rail, into the 8, instead of straight into the 8, so the 1 leaked out. Playing to bump this out. This looks pretty good shot. It's a little bit thin to do much, and there's not much of a window to like play back and forth. If that hadn't hit the point and it just hit up there a little bit further, that would have been unfortunate. I'm not sure what the intent was exactly. Where exactly he was playing it to. He had it a little bit stiffer than I would have if I was playing it towards the side. I wouldn't have hit it so hard. I would have played it with a little bit more draw and not quite as much pace. So you can use bottom right here or top English. You could really just punch it out, but that would be a little bit of stroke. Came up a little short. Good shot. 3-2. All right, it's my break. So I think since from here on, I think I'm breaking from further out. Trying to replicate Marcello's making 3 balls on the break. I can make this one. I just don't have a good opportunity with the 5 and the 7 being kind of like in a spot where if I carry them into the 9 or the 4, I might end up getting hooked. So I'm going to play safe here and bank the 1 between the 8 and the 9 over by the side and play the cue ball to the end rail with a little bit of left to hold it up and make it kind of kill it off the side rail. This shot obviously goes over the shot clock, so I probably would have had my cue put together before the match. All right. Yeah, the jump shot would have been a good shot. Could have scratched if you made it. So you had to draw it, and then quite a bit of elevation required. So I can either go forward here or draw. I'm going to like to think to go forward here. Just trust the speed of the table because now I gotta play on the correct side of the ball here in order to play for the 5 in the corner that I play the 2 into, because the 5 does not pass the 7 and the carom is not super easy either. Hit it way too hard. Yeah, it was pretty tricky, but I ended up getting pretty lucky that I had a shot at all. And I ended up with a good shot here, so now I'm just going to shoot the 5 and then use the 7 to hold the cue ball there, I think. And I don't want to move the 7 that far down to the end rail to make it harder to get on. I'd rather it was higher because I'm going to have a little bit of angle here. So I got pretty fortunate the way that 4 ball ended up. So I'm going to try to maximize here. Make sure I get in. play top right. But it's a little bit of it, it's like you're hitting it with a little bit of stun. Just to get a little bit of angle off of the 7 instead of it going carrying straight forward. To get it to twist, it's like to get more tangential velocity after contact, you just kind of have to just go a little bit lower, a little bit lower, a little bit lower on the cue ball to get better side-to-side action. I was just playing to make sure I got a good angle. Three to three. Two balls on the break again. Pretty tricky shot here. Yeah, I think you can. I don't know if you even want to go to make this by going rail first. If you make it, then you're probably not going to have a shot on the 3. Maybe you can get a good angle. If you hit the 6, you might scratch on the side. If you hit the 8, you might trap yourself. So I might like hit it just a hair full and then go down table. So now I just gotta use max right and try to get maximum turn because it's something pretty tough. Needed to use way more English than that and maybe a little bit more draw. Definitely more draw and more English though. That shot barely made it within. I went back and taped it and it was about 45 seconds, so maybe it wasn't as long as it just seemed like a long time. It was pretty good here. Kind of like, really you could just roll it forward a little bit and then I'd like to be off the rail though somehow. That's a good shot. Pretty good. Roll forward for the 8 and the 9. Should be pretty good. So I'm kind of playing a cut break with a little bit of right and a little bit low. And it seemed to work that time. I did get kissed down at the end rail there. I was basically just going to slow roll that and then see what I get, because I couldn't really control the cue ball very well. And I knew the 4 might be involved, so I didn't want to hit it too hard and maybe scratch. So I'm just playing it safe here. Planning to bank the 3 down under the 9. Use those balls as blockers. Pretty good kick. Not sure if that speed was... He was trying to make it. I don't know if that was enough with this, if that was too much speed. I don't know. It seemed like a little bit too hard of a hit, like too much power for whatever you were trying to do. Maybe not. I mean, it worked out really well. It's funny, I can tell from where I'm watching it that I'm off angle. I'm trying to work on this visualization, and I just don't... I'm not there yet with kicking. I'll just say that. So I've identified something that I want to work on. For Marcello, so far it's been pretty solid. I think just kind of like practicing the finish might be something to think about down the road. Sometimes he finishes nice and smooth through the ball, and sometimes not. And just adding that consistency is ultimately going to lend itself to a more consistent game. The more things you change, the more things you have to deal with. Good speed. Yeah, just play it. Keep the 5 there, or you could really just draw back if you wanted to, but it's this table. I feel like that shooting the 7 all the way down is a good idea. Made it. Good shot. Trickled it in. I'll just low ball and float it across. That's probably what I'd recommend here. Maybe go into the rail and back out. There's no need for any English. The English makes the ball float further, which is probably why you went too far. Because you're twisting it, and then the cue balls actually have kind of a Coriolis effect. Makes it widen out. Good shot. 5-3. All right, Marcello's break. Pretty good match so far. You can cut this in, and even if you overcut it, it's okay. Cue ball's going to come back down over by the 2. Oh, it was maybe a little bit more pace than you wanted. At that pace, it would have went maybe back past the side pocket, so... I don't know if you're planning on hitting into the 6 or the 3. If so, I guess you could hit it harder. Pretty good kick. We're definitely kicking better than me so far. So here I think I end up just trying to bank the 2 back behind the 3 and using the 3, 6, and the 9 as blockers. It's basically like a half ball hit. Just playing to like bank it and looking at the line and trusting the line. Playing the speed. Pretty good shot. Kick 1 rail. I almost kick it between the 8 and the 7 is legit with left English if it's not too weird, like too much left you need to turn it wide, because then you can hit the rail and then the ball and maybe make it. No rail. Pretty good shot otherwise. I'm just going to play short side on the 3. I don't like trying to thread the needle between the 4 and the 7 and the 8 in the side pocket. There's a lot of danger going that way. So I'm playing short side, just trying to play the speed, knowing that most of the angles lead me to the 4. If I get straight in, I can roll to the gap between the 7 and the 8, and then with this angle I can just roll over to the left side of the 4 and shoot it in the corner where the same corner as the 7 is laying there. Nice and smooth. Now I'm just going to punch up to the middle of the table and then just try to play the rest of this rack by controlling the center with the cue ball through the center of the table. I wanted to get straighter in on the 6 so I could go forward and not go between the... I didn't want the 8 to get involved, so that's a positional error. And this, I remember hitting this ball and wasn't very good. I think I needed to put left English and I didn't, and I just hit full. Yeah, I missed that by a lot, and I don't even... Interesting. So Marcello banks it in with draw, which is a good shot. Pretty sure here I remember this. Yeah, if you're going to play safe, I'd be banking the 3 into the side rail under the 9, and then I'd be playing the cue ball with high left and playing it to the side rail and then back to the other side rail and then down to the end of the table. Pretty good. Just roll up here and then shoot the shot from there. You can look at your tip position on that shot. Gotta watch myself because I remember ended up missing this. Maybe I should have looked to see it go in and then came down because I wasn't quite sure. Yeah, I hit it really bad. I knew that felt like I was too thin on it or too full on it. Pretty reasonable. A little bit of awkward cueing over the side pocket. That's in my favor, I guess. Not sure if hitting it that hard was necessary. Left me a long off-angle shot, but I think I can just use follow and not scratch, so it's just making the ball. But after the first 9 that I missed, I'm definitely going to do my best here. Got it. All right, 5-4. We both got lucky and unlucky and lucky again, and then, yeah. I'm definitely trying to watch myself break and see how consistently I break. So I made the one in the side, which is what I was trying to do. I hit that a lot softer than I thought I was going to. Maybe that's part of it, is breaking a little bit more medium pace, speed. Alright, so I'm going to roll out here just between the gap for the 3 and the 4. 2 is really close to the rail, so unless you're hitting it thinly, you can double kiss. So I'm trying to play that kind of a trap, I suppose. Although I think he ends up double kissing and then ends up hooking me. So maybe it worked. I trapped myself. This is another one I'm not sure about. Timing wise. It looks pretty good. I'd have to really come back and check. I got focus is off though. Sorry about that, everybody. And we're back. Interesting. Yep, I think just jumping is good. I don't really have much else here. Kicking below the 7 under the 2 is not really viable. So I'm trying to bank it, or jump and not really bank it, but which is what happened here, but I was trying to chip it underneath. So I made it, but now I have to kick at this ball. I was explaining how I was trying to play safe by leaving the 2 ball up table and then the cue ball underneath the 7 and the 9 area was my hope. So now I gotta use low and left to hit this ball and reverse it way off the table. So I almost have to elevate to get a little bit of masse. Pretty lucky result. I think kicking 1 rail. And this one I would kick with some speed. So I'm going to use right English, bank the 3 up by the 7, and then try to leave the cue ball directly behind the 4 and the 9. Pretty good. Could play this 2 rails also, end rail, side rail, and back up by the behind the 7. I didn't really get a clear idea of what I wanted to do here. I should have maybe just shot the 3 into the side pocket with draw, and then drawn back to the other side pocket to shoot the 4 down the corner. I think now that I'm looking at it, I elected to try to play this shot, but then I can't really do anything to get on the 6 because it's too thin to hold it. Just trying to make it and bump the balls. Missed it. So he's really elevated. Might consider banking this if you're not confident. I'm not sure if this shot's gonna go over or not. I have to look back. Let me check. I went back and looked, and it was 1 minute and 13 seconds from when my ball stopped rolling to your shot, or Marcello's shot, excuse me. I'm assuming Marcello might be the only one watching, but I know that there will be other people. Which with the extension would have been fine. It would have just barely been inside of it, and that's assuming that they start the clock as soon as the ball stops rolling. So I was trying to play this frozen to the 8, and it just left perfectly underneath to use a stop shot or a little bit of draw and play safe under the 8. So that was pretty brutal. I didn't have much else I could do. So, but really it was a good shot though. I just barely didn't get there. So he's done really well here. I have to use spin. I can kick to the side rail, but I want to just use, I think kicking to the end rail is a little bit more beneficial. Just barely overspun it. Yeah, just playing this to the middle of the table and then coming playing 1 rail for the 7 in the side is good. You could play the 7 in the corner. Also, because you are past the side. So you don't necessarily need to play this in the side. You can still get shape. Like just punching it across. A little too stiff, but not too bad. I don't know if you can roll this and hold it. You can just go one rail. Probably. One of those interesting things is to be curious what the other player's trying to do. If he was trying to get this angle or like get to the end rail and have the underneath, or if he was trying to be above it. I think I would have left myself. I mean, ideally you want to be underneath, but that's not a very big window. I don't want to be straight in. So I would have probably played it a little bit lower, more towards like the second diamond high. And that looked like playing 2 rails with follow. Almost scratched, but now you're playing in the side. Six to 4. Drew and scratched. I actually didn't have a very good place to put the cue ball here. The 5 was kind of blocking a lot of my stuff that I wanted to do. I think I ended up missing this ball. Maybe I should have played it into the side pocket, short side, and then just taken the shorter cue ball to object ball tightness versus this longer shot that's missable. So I'm kind of playing a little below my expectations or for general play. I think a little bit of the 45-second shot clock has kind of like got me thinking about it. But I'm happy. It's showing that I have some weaknesses, because when I feel time pressure, that means I'm not quite sure what to do. Yeah, to come around, I think you need to punch it more to get side-to-side action. I don't think with the speed there that would have even gotten above the 5. Anyways, even if it wouldn't have hit the 7. So I'm going to use a lot of left English, but I also have to masse the ball, semi-masse. So it's pretty tough to hit it and be super accurate. I'm hoping that everything works out for me. It's got me in a little bit of a tough spot. I don't want to jump it for whatever reason. Maybe I didn't. I feel like their one rail kick was just too smart of a shot. And truthfully, I was hoping to get under the 7 if that situation that happened came up where I could use the 7 or the 6 as blockers. Didn't happen. It's all good. Here, I think I might just bank this ball. And play your cue ball towards the 7 and the 6. You could play thin off of the 5. Then off the 5 and play the cue ball back up between the 6 and the 7 and use the 8 as a blocker. That was a good shot. Trying to play the cue ball back to the end rail. We talked about this after the fact. Just didn't work out. 5 ball was out of control. I think this is one of the better shots that I hit in this set. That's not a lot of low or a lot of, it's just a little bit of low, but really because the balls are close together, you don't need to use a lot of draw. Just low and left, play your spot. I'm just going to draw back to straight in on the corner. I don't need to get crazy and try to play it perfectly into the side and all that, because if you get a weird angle, it's just tough. And the 9 is right in the center of the spot, so you don't want to get too crazy here. If you get an angle, you still got to make a shot. So this is pretty good. Just slightly off angle and a little bit of distance. Just always play your cue ball after make the 9, just to make it more like a routine. I think when people get nervous, sometimes they don't play position, even though that's what makes the shot easier, is to have a clear goal. 6 to 5. Scratched on the break off the bottom of the 9. Six and the 4. the 5. This is a pretty tough rack. Probably play... I might actually play the 2 in the corner where the 4 is at, so that I can create an angle to get to the 3, because I think from the 3 to the 4 you want to be shooting like from above the 3, kind of where the cue ball's at now, just a little bit higher, maybe like just above the straight in. From here this is good though. Yeah, you can play draw and left and get to that same spot that I'm talking about. Too hard. That would have been sweet. Still would have had to deal with the 5. That's what's crazy about the rack. Even if you would have done that great shot to get on the 4 here, now you still got to get all the way down for the 5. Maybe combo it in or get underneath it, in which case then you still got to come all the way down back for the 6 ball down here. So I'm trying to play this rail first with 2 rails after contact. But I had it really fat. Oh yeah, that's right. I needed to get underneath the 4 so I can come back for the 5. So I hit it good angle, but I overhit it, so I ended up half below the 6 basically, so I had to kick at the 4. This is just like low right. Just too much speed. I almost got perfect, like 4 inches from where I wanted to be. And I hit this kick shot, but it kind of bounced funny off the rail. I don't know if you can see it hop or not on the video. I don't know if it's even going to be noticeable in the video. Yeah, it definitely was visible. So I don't know if that prevented me from hitting the ball. It didn't seem like that tough of a cut or a kick shot. Anyways, ball in hand for Marcello. Shaking his head like he does. That worked out. Not sure what shot he was playing. At least this way you can play the 5 and come back down table for the 6 a little bit. Dang, almost a good shot. Alright, so I'm not going to do anything too interesting here. I'm just going to try to play the shortest pathway to the next ball. So I'm playing just a little bit of angle. Kind of came up a little bit too far, so I have to punch this a little bit, but I'm playing the 7 for the side, relatively straight in. Now I'm just going to roll forward and then shoot the 8, withdraw. Overall, just a couple inches there, but same shot. So now I have to hit it harder. So when I got down on the ball, it seems like I rotated it a little bit. I'm going to have to figure out what's going on with that. 6-6. All right, Marcello's break. Tied it up. Try break. One thing I'm noticing over the course of the few breaks that we've had is the break's been pretty inconsistent on both sides. I haven't spent that much time with the 9 on the spot break, but I'm going to definitely be practicing it more. That shot I was trying to bank it into the corner and just play for the 2. Actually, I think I was going to try to bump the 2. I was going to bump the 2 and try to leave the angle. And then if I banked the 1 below the 9 too far, then it would have been a safety. So it's kind of a two-way shot, really. There was just enough room for the 1 to pass, but hitting the 9 was a mistake. I needed to be below the 9 with the cue ball no matter what. I think I was paying too much attention to the cue ball. Alright, so Marcello looked like he tried to break out the 3 ball and use that to trap the cue ball, which was an interesting shot. The 4 is kind of blocking the way, so I may have tried to just make the 1 play for the 2 and then come back for the 3 and try to do a safety or something like that, maybe. It's okay to go for it, obviously. So he's left me pretty wide open table here, so I think at this point I've learned my lesson a little bit on some of these things, and I'm making sure to put a little bit more pinpoint take my time, but be quick about it because of the time 45-second shot clock. I've been working on speeding up my shooting system, and that definitely helps where I don't have to be down on the ball very long. I do most of my visualization and all that while I'm standing, and then I just get down and shoot the shot once I've built it up enough. Underrolled that 2 ball to the 3, so now I'm just going to be forced to play a stop shot here. If I would have went like about 2-3 more inches, then I could have went forward and then played for the 4 on the side and then rolled down. But instead of that, I'm going to have to play down to the end of the table and back up. So rather than get too squirrely here, I'm going to just play left English, inside English, and go 2 rails, and then the cue ball would hold up. And just leave me the angle where I can just make this 5 ball, and then the 6 is right there, so that was not a very consistent stroke compared to what I'm normally trying to do, so I definitely wasn't feeling great there. Still feeling a little bit out of sorts. Got a Marcello elevated here, so I think what I like to do is just roll this ball or whatever your highest percentage to make it is, because the 6 being in the jaws, pretty much the 7 is close to the pocket and then the 8 is connected. Just bear down and make this ball whatever your best highest percentage way to make it is what you should do. I think it's basically natural position. I think it was a 2-way. It's a good shot. Made it very difficult for me to pocket the ball. I could shoot this combo. It's a winner if you make it, just being that much distance. I'm going to choose a more conservative route, and my goal is to play the cue ball onto the end rail and just spank the 5 down table. Even if I had uncovered it and left the shot on the 5, it'd be a combination from a long distance, which is one of the reasons why I shot that shot. It just was natural. So I like kicking this ball 1 rail. If you hit the side of it, you could potentially make the 6. Yeah, just using probably decent pace. I'm not sure if playing, maybe kicking 3 rails and trying to kick the 5 back out is smart or not. It looks like the 9 might be in the way of that. Good hit. He almost made the 6, really. It's a pretty good shot on the 5. It's pretty thin, but the 6 is there, so all I have to do is make it stay on the table. So I'm trying to go back up and down in between the 7 and the 8 to the middle of the table and then play the shot from there. Bumped it, which is a little unfortunate. Now, the trick here becomes where the 9 is over on the side rail. I think the shape that I want to shoot here would have been maybe rail first. Instead of that, I'm choosing to shoot it more just high ball instead of using any right English, because I just want the cue ball to come back to this spot. And then, of course, I end up hitting it a little bit bad and scratch. So on this shot, I might consider playing it. I guess it doesn't matter. A lot of times I'll play this, play the cue ball from the middle of the table area, that angle, instead of the below angle. Because almost any angle on it's good. I just don't want to end up below it. So like by starting out below it, I don't know, maybe that is the right shot. I guess it's pretty much whatever your preferences are. Really looking at it, I don't think it matters. Good shot. It's basically perfect. So Marcello's looking good here. Go 7-6. Quite a few errors on both sides there. All right, 7-6. Still trying to figure out the break here. I need to spend more time on that, so I'm going to do that. I'm getting closer to making the 1 in the side, which is really my goal. So we're going to be doing a rollout here, I think. So I just gave it back. It's really not very easy. When the ball is frozen to the rail like that, it's so easy to double kiss that you have to hit the ball thinly, and a thin hit requires really excellent speed control. If you hit it with, you want the cue ball to go all the way back to the end rail, now you're going to use significant power, and then the object ball generally is going to move a little bit more than you want to. So unless you can like be super accurate, that's a difficult situation to push out from. I was trying to play slightly higher so I wouldn't get straight in here, so I'm going to have to just play it from the straight in. I was trying to be a little bit higher up so I could go to the end rail in the kitchen and then all the way back down with some high ball, but I'm just going to play a safety here. And that mainly, I know I'm just playing the cue ball to the side and knowing that roughly speaking, if you're hitting half ball hits, the balls are going to separate about the same amount. Any rail contact is going to slow down a little bit, and that can help you. Good hit there. Just didn't know fortune on that. Solid contact. I'm going to bump the 8 on purpose. It was a little bit too far. Like a little bit too much of a stretch, and it was a little bit too thin to do much other than bump the 8 on purpose and still be able to control the cue ball. So here, a little bit tougher to see on the monitor, but the angle was a little bit more severe just going forward. So I liked it to draw and then come back to the middle of the table. So I can shoot this 5. And now I'm trying to play the bump on the 9 ball to maintain the angle. And the other thing is too, like when the 9 ball is on the spot area, it's a little bit trickier to get position. And by moving it to one side or the other, you can actually like open it up for easier position. So just using 2 rail inside shape to get back to the center of the table. And now my goal is just to stay in the middle of the table here. A little bit straight on this. I'm going to try to punch it to the side rail, back to the straight in on the 8, so I can just play straight in, straight in. It was pretty straight in, so I didn't get the action I needed to. Here, I don't like going forward because it's potentially going to scratch, and then you're also going across the line of the shot. So what I like to do is just play draw with a touch of left English and go 2 rails back side to side. And that gives me, off the second rail, you're basically approaching the straight in line. So that was even though it's a little bit of a difficult shot, the position is pretty automatic if you just get the stroke right. 7-7. Going down to the wire here. The 4 is a little bit interesting. It goes in the side, but the 6 is definitely going to be in the way. As far as you're going to be definitely bumping it unless you get absolutely straight on it. And if you go a little bit too far, the 6 is in the way. So that's a little bit tricky. Where the 2 is, it's difficult to get kind of where I want. So it's a pretty good angle here. I just need to get a good angle on the 3 so I can get back for the 4. But it's okay to play safe here. Like when you get to the 4, I'm not saying on this shot, play safe. Now I'm just playing to bump it actually. I got too much angle. Overcut it, almost scratched. So had I made it, it would have maybe broken it out. I was trying to go into it with a decent amount of speed, so there was some unknowns there. Got fortunate with this position. Marcello has to kick. Hits it perfect. Ends up with a shot even, which is cool. So I think from the angle here, if you just play to cut it in, there should be a shot. I think the 6 is basically going to trap the cue ball. I don't know if the bank on the 4 goes, Maybe that's a shot as well. I'm not certain that it's even cuttable. It's pretty thin. Looks like he's looking at making the 8 on the carom, which I don't know how easy that is either. Kind of just flying at it and seeing what happens. If he would have made the 8, then we don't know where the 4 is going to go with that much power. I think it was a good idea to make the 8. I just feel like with that much power, it's just too difficult to be accurate. And that safe maybe seemed a little bit weak. Part of it is because he's going to be queuing so stretched out, that's going to make it more difficult. It's all part of the game, is understanding that your opponent is handed of one side or the other and forcing them to shoot like accurate touch shots from an extended structure makes it a little bit tougher. That was a good shot. At this point, I'm not really that aggressive. Where the 4 is, just cutting it, there's a lot of traffic going back up and down, so I'm looking to play safety. A little bit of cat and mouse here. The 5 is blocking that bank down table, so kind of use that to my advantage. I think here, if you can shoot it thin and go under the 5, that's a good shot. Maybe it's the cue ball's too far up table for that, in which case I would probably use left English. Basically the same situation as before. Now I'm off the rail a little bit. It gives me more options. Still looking to play safe here, I think. Oh, I went for it. Pretty lucky there. Missed it and could have scratched. I guess if I had made it, it would have come back down. Pretty close. But difficult to get back all the way around. The 7 could have been in the way. Playing 4 rails position for the 5 again. Trying to play to the end rail under the 7. I did just a little bit. Really, I should have just played. Well, that was a good shot. Just a little bit thinner was really what I needed to do. Speed was okay. I didn't need to get to the end rail. I just needed to block the balls. But I left it pretty tough. Just could barely see the edge of it, and there was not much good stuff gonna happen. The 7 was blocking some of the angles for like kicking behind it. Hoping to get a little bit of an angled hit on that 6 just to get closer to making this 5, easier to make the 5. This is fairly thin. But I think for these Fargo sets I need to spend a little bit more energy looking down the barrel of the shot and visualizing it going in before I get down on the ball. Because I missed a few of these shots where I kind of hit it where I wanted to, but it wasn't the right spot. And I don't like giving up too many of these 5-ball outs. It's not good. Good shot. Left himself pretty far. On this shot, if you can, I like using high and left, going to the end rail and back up towards the 7, so that you're going more into the line of the shot versus going across the line of the shot, which is what's happening here. And you just came up short, so now you're a little bit straight. You have to have a really good controlled punch to do the shot, that shot. And even if you roll it forward, as long as you get a little bit of bite with the English and you stay off the rail, which is not too tough to do, then even if you get a little bit of an angle on it, you can play the 7 in the corner as well. So it gives you a few options. Okay, didn't really lead me too much, so now I'm just going to bank the 7 over into the cluster and then use the cue ball, a little bit of high left. Just leave some distance here. Trying to make it to where if he thins off the side of the 7, then it can interact, the cue ball can interact with the 9 or the 8 and make it really tricky. Plus, I would be nice if he separated the balls for me, because where they're at, they're a little bit tough to play shape on, so... I think the angle of it here, I like to bank the ball. I remember hitting it too full and selling out pretty much. The shape on the 8 is still a little bit tricky though, so I think I wasn't really excited about that, and that makes it tougher to make the ball, but I should have played thinner to get 2-rail action off the 7, and then it would be down towards the end of the rail instead of in the middle of the table by the corner. We don't really want to be there, because if he hits a good shot here, he's definitely going to get out. He just needs to use a touch of left. Pretty tough shot. I think you can see the top of the ball only. Yeah, that was tough. I really wouldn't know what to do exactly there. Something probably similar to that. Hoping to not get a double kiss. He's left me a backwards off angle bank shot, which I'm going to shoot. Cue ball naturally goes down to the end rail, so I'm just going to play my speed. Pretty good. If I make this, it's going to be 8-7, which I do. All right, 8-7. I'm on the hill. Marcello needs 2. Made the 1 in the side, so I've kind of figured it out a little bit. Although I'm not a big fan of these clustering balls down table in the middle of the rack like it's been very difficult to run out. I think I need to use more speed. I might actually start using my brake cue for this and then just get more power into it. So here I'm just going to bear down and make it, and I'm trying to bump the 6 or come across to the other side. If I would have bumped it full, that would have been perfect. That was my goal. Then I would have been straight in on the 3. So here I'm just going to use the 8 to block the 3 and then play safe. It's very unlikely that I'll make the 4 on a triple. Hit a little bit too hard. Got the 3 to stick, but the cue ball went a little bit too far. So here, if you bank the 3 right at the 6, and you float your cue ball down, a little bit more speed than that, or ideally, actually, just a slightly thinner, and just bank it to the right edge, the left edge, I should say, from this perspective, then the cue ball would have went up just a little bit further. He's left me kind of a tricky shot into the side. I want to make sure the cue ball doesn't come up table and get blocked by the 9 when I shoot the 4. Hit that pretty good. That was one of my better shots, touch-wise. So now I just have to use enough draw here, but not so much speed, because I need enough draw to get past the 8. But if I use too much speed, then I'll just bump right into the 5. So I hit that one pretty good too. So this is so far so good. And then everything is pretty much connected now. The 7, 8, 9 flows together if I can get proper on the 7. So let's play that shot with high ball. Got a good angle on it. Now I can punch to the side rail and leave myself an angle on the 7 so that I can go to the end rail and back towards the 8. And that just maintains the shot line. I can stay on the correct side of the shot line by shooting from here. And I just want to maintain a little bit of an angle for when I shoot the 8 so that I can draw or punch to straight in situation on the 9. So I just used a touch of right English. Got a little straight. I wanted to be maybe 2 more inches off the rail. And a little bit further down table because I am short. Overdrew that just a little bit, but this is totally fine. I think being a little bit above it is nice versus being below it. Then I can play 2 rails on this back to the middle. Alright, everybody. Well, thank you for watching if you've made it to this point, and have a great day.